morning. I just finished up a course at eCornell online about social media strategy and marketing. And what did I learn? I haven't really marketed anything to you, but I am selling. I'm selling ideas and I'm selling lifestyle. And I think if I succeed, that's a real plus. Because when I look at any of my posts, and a couple of them do indeed stand out, what do we want? We want a basic living wage, and that post has gotten over 98, well, I guess it's about over 10,000 hits and engagements so far. 10,000 to 12,000 a year. $1,000 a month. That's what everyone wants. For security, to be able to look for jobs or go into retraining or get into education. That's a primary goal for most Americans. Second biggest post I ever got a hit on was gender equality. 14,000 hits on my LinkedIn profile. 14,000. That's pretty impressive. And what do people want? Transparency and wages in the workplace. And why do they want it? So that there can be economic equity, more of it. Another post that received a hell of a lot of hits was what's happening to the decimation of precedents at the Supreme Court level, particularly with Roe versus Wade. It's more than a women's right to choose. It's also about health care, equitable health care for all of us, men and women, affordable health care. That's on everyone's minds. And in their hearts and in their pocketbooks is equal justice for all of us, because they just voted in a progressive AG in Louisiana who's now looking at cases, cold cases, 30 years old, where people were incarcerated on the strength of no evidence. It's interesting, John Grisham, a novelist about crime, usually white-collar crime, wrote about justice in the South. And he said justice depends upon the local sheriff and the local AG. That's all it is. Justice is not justice. It's in the eyes of the beholder and who wants to incarcerate whom. That's not justice. That's exercising the law without justice. And what else is happening? When we, the people, band together, great things happen. In the Bronx, 21 residents of an apartment building band together, got an NGO to buy into their scheme when a new landlord purchased the building and wanted to raise their rents. Well, they bought out the landlord, or the NGO did, and now all 21 holders of apartments in this particular building can purchase their apartments for $2,500 each. It is a win-win for this little community. Took them 5 years, it's true, but in the end, they got justice. I'm reading about equality. Thomas Piketty's book. I don't know if I've told you, well, I know I did. I've written about his previous books, Capital of the 21st Century, and this is the brief history of equality. Not so brief. The book is not about what's brief. Goes back several hundred years to colonial eras, discusses authoritarianism, and discusses our brief history of equality, 1914 to 1980. So we got to keep plugging away, folks. Democracy is a full-time job. Just like I learned about marketing, it's a full-time job. Understanding what social media platforms work and how they work, and what content is good for them, and how to write exciting content, and then how to market it appropriately so it catches your eye. That's a full-time job. Many years ago, when I started on my activism path, I thought the good way to go would be a grassroots presidency and a grassroots party. I even came up with a name, americaspeaks.us. I think everyone thought, okay, I've got a lot of connections, I got a lot of networks, I could somehow put this all together, and voila, I would have a political party, and then I'd go running around, and I'd get people to help me vote, and register folks, etc., etc. Well, that is a job for a cooperative team. As I learned, marketing ain't so simple. So my concept is out there, and hey, I'm willing to put it together, and I'm willing to head it, and I'm willing to run for the highest office of the land or whatever place you want me to be. But it takes all of us. And right now, I'm selling something that I think you've all got to buy, just like I sold Macron in France over Marine Le Pen. I'm selling whatever Democrat or unaffiliated Trump GOP there is over a Trumpist. The road to Putin unites them all. And very honestly, I don't want to see the repression that I saw when I was a young woman. Can you imagine? I had a disability when I was a teenager. I had an autoimmune disease. It was called dermatomyositis. It was probably a little like lupus. I couldn't use any of my joints readily. And one day I actually asked for help. Well, my roommate helped me and reported me to the dean. I was at Simmons College, and I was called out for not standing on my own 2 feet and asking for help to button my skirt. Now, I don't think we have to worry about that any longer. I feel relieved when I see benches all over where I can sit, and I see elevators going to subways, and I see courtesy for people with disabilities. I'll wait. I don't care, because I don't think of myself at this point as being handicapped, but certainly I'll wait for someone who is and give them the space. I don't want to go back to the bad old days, nor should you. Little by little, as Trump's GOP calls for small government, no voting rights at all, too many restrictions, the possibility that they'll overturn your ballot, and now they want to overturn Roe v. Wade, a woman's right to choose, and they're already reattacking the LGBTQ and A societies. And the A stands for understanding others. I'm part of that other group. I understand. Remember, after World War II, when Alan Turing so bravely and so brilliantly uncovered the Enigma puzzle that Germany was sending up so that we were able to crack all their codes after World War II at the age of 41, because he was a homosexual. He committed suicide. The drugs they gave him to try to deprogram his homosexuality drove him over the edge. What's the difference? I don't want those laws in place again that lets others see into your apartment and say what you can or can't be doing. I'm sure they'll come for me as well. After all, I say what's on my mind and what I think is right, and I have spoken out against Donald Trump since I knew he was going to be the nominee for the Republican Party. And now he's got a huge base, and it's all on lies, based on lies. And what will they do when they get into power? They'll create more power for themselves. Remember, the permanent tax cuts are for the corporations. And one thing we don't need more of is the industrial, corporate, military complex that we have. Eisenhower warned about it in the 50s. Here we are in 2020, and it's stopping progress for all of us. So if it means that we have no alternative to the Democratic Party in any state in this union during the primary season, you must vote Democrat, because we need protections. All of us. You want a basic living wage? You want a relief from student debt? You want affordable health care and expanded health care for all? You want a nationalized voting rights system so that you are opting in, and only if you opt out is that valid? But at least your vote and your voice counts. That's what we want. We're in the middle of a crisis. Piketty doesn't have much optimism that people will react appropriately before another catastrophe. I say we've got catastrophes enough. We've got too many fires all over. We've got too much land that's barren, too little water as it is out west. It's time that the people were ascendant. And I think that anyone who's listening to my programs, and evidently you've listened to 235 hours in the last week alone, I think, hey, I'm floating on air with happiness. And not only that, I've had over 6,600 views in the last week alone. So I must be resonating with someone, many someones. Listen to me. I've been there, and I certainly don't want to live under propaganda or authoritarian rule, because then my little outlet for speaking to you will be squelched. And I've decided to do something new. I'm going to have at least one cartoon that one of my friends has sent me. It's going to be at the end of this broadcast. And maybe it'll cheer your day as you think about how you, every one of you, can be part of the solution. Speak truth to power. It never fails to work. God bless you, and have a great day. Thank you.